It's lights out and away we go.
Guys and girls, and welcome back to the F1 podcast. I'm joined by David.
Konnichiwa.
So, Land of the Rising Sun, eh? Japan.
Japan, yeah, one of the all-time classics. I would honestly say, when you think of the classic, the really old F1 circuits, I think Suzuka's one that always comes up there. I think it's the only figure-of-8 circuit on the calendar, isn't it?
Yep. It is. It's the only few. I don't know why they call it a figure-of-8 circuit, really.
Because it crosses over in the middle.
I know. But
imagine like a number 8.
It's just...
He's now looking at his keyboard to remember what an 8 looks like, folks.
No, it's... Technically, Suzuka doesn't. I've actually got an image of Suzuka in front of me.
No, it doesn't literally look like an 8, but it's just because of the fact that the track crosses itself.
Well, it kind of does look like an 8.
Because, as I say, Chile, it's certainly, as far as I can recall, the only one on the calendar.
Yeah, it is the only one that crosses itself. Unless you count Abu Dhabi's pit lane.
I was going to go on with that, yeah, but the actual circuit, I thought of that one myself, but the actual circuit. But yeah, one renowned for extreme weather, extreme races, and if you're fans of our channel, broken safety cars.
Yeah.
We talk about it a lot, but yeah, it was the Japan short layout where we managed to well and truly break the game in 17. But
I mean,
I'll say it now, I only saw the race, unfortunately, due to time constraints and stuff that's been going on, so I can't talk a lot about the run other than what I said earlier. I think we really got a statement from Red Bull this weekend.
Well, it was a Red Bull dominant practice.
All three.
Yeah.
And quali and the race.
See,
I think Red Bull were resetting the balance after Singapore not exactly going their way.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think even if Perez didn't have the best race he's ever had.
I mean, to be honest...
He nearly used as many front wings as you.
Yeah. And, I mean, to be honest, by practice 2, Norris was kind of showing his form a little bit. Come practice 3, you know, you had the likes of Lando and Oscar in second and third.
Yeah, that McLaren has become they've done a nice job on that package, haven't they, the McLarens, by the end of the year. I really hope they can carry this into next year's car.
Yeah.
Because it'd be nice. I mean, I do feel, I've said it last time, I feel bad for Lando. He has been so close to a win on so many occasions.
Yeah.
And he just always seems to escape him.
It'd be quite funny because I'll bring that up to when we talk about the race this summer.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the poor guy couldn't win a raffle right now.
I mean, he got out qualified by Oscar.
Yeah.
Not by a lot. I'll give him that. Not by a lot. So, Oscar's qualifying time was a 1:29.458. Lando's qualifying time was a 1:29.493.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, tight.
Like I say, there was not much between the two.
Well, again, Leclerc's not a big gap behind him. Leclerc's probably only about the same gap behind Lando was to Oscar.
Well, Leclerc was 1:29.542.
Yeah, well, hang on, give me a second.
But there's Max, a 1:28.77.
Oscar was 0.035 quicker, right?
Yeah. He's having to work it out.
Whereas it was 0.049 Leclerc was off. So there's not... And we're talking 0.0 of a second. So there's not a lot of space. There's not a lot of gap in there at all.
But then Perez was in 5th with a 1:29.650.
Nearly a tenth.
Yeah.
He was over a tenth back.
But
Makes
then
2 tenths back to Carlos.
and then Sainz was 129,850. So it was just like, what?
Yeah, well, yeah. But like I said, Max. I don't know if Red Bull squeezed a little bit extra out of Max's car this weekend just to try and I think they wanted to make a statement.
It was definitely a statement, all right.
I wonder if they thought, you know what, reliability's been good this year. Let's push this engine and see what it can do.
You know, obviously what I am going to bring up already is the fact that, you know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Sergeant's days are numbered.
Yeah, basically.
Especially, but I mean, he got, well, Williams got themselves in trouble as well. Which I'll bring.
Is that Williams' second seat a bit like the Red Bull second seat and maybe a little bit cursed?
Hmm.
I mean, think of it, before him we had, Gotifi.
Yeah.
And we all remember his escapades
I
in Formula
mean,
1.
Sargent binned it not dramatically as Stroll at
Yeah, well,
Singapore,
fair
but
smack he gave it, like.
yeah. I mean, to the degree that they had to start building the spare chassis.
That's why they got a penalty, didn't they? Because technically they built 3 cars.
Yeah, they built too much of the spare chassis.
Which is a weird rule to manage to break, if you ask me.
Because they're only allowed to take the chassis up as far as the safety cell.
Right.
But that car, the next chassis was a bit more than that, so they got a penalty. They basically got a penalty for it because it's basically classed under the sporting regs as a spare car. And yeah, so this podcast is probably going to be a little bit of a shorter one because apart from that, not much happened in quali. Not much happened really in practice.
Yeah, like I said, unfortunately, I didn't see.
And like I said, apart from Sargent crashing out, Guan Yu Zhou didn't seem to have any pace. Like Hulkenberg, Stroll, Bottas, the Hasses didn't have any pace really. Bottas really didn't have any pace. I mean, the only people that seemed to have pace was yet again one of the Williams, sort of. The Alpines, Lawson in the AlphaTauri, Yuki in an AlphaTauri, but obviously Merckx, a Red Bull split into Ferraris, and the McLarens were like, what?
Finally found some AlphaTauri pace.
And I mean, I'm gonna bring it up now as well, and I think David probably echoes it, kind of, even though he says, obviously, because I'm a Danny Ricciardo fan. I personally feel that AlphaTauri have made a mistake with putting Danny Rick in for the 2024 season.
That doesn't mean I've said that. Yeah, it's difficult, but to me, Lawson's been performing. Lawson has performed that car.
Yeah, but
considering he only got put into it during a race weekend
and scored points.
So he scored points. To me, he's done enough to warrant a season.
But yet, that it depends that this will also depend on the fact that I reckon that he might go back into Super Formula come next year. There's got to be something that's stopping them from giving him a seat.
Yeah. Possibly, I don't know. I would say maybe we'll find out in time. Maybe there's some great grand plan. But if they are not planning to bring Lawson in this season, they've got to be planning to bring him in for 2025.
Yeah. Because, it's well and sort of well and truly. It's like Piastri's till 2026 or 2025, whatever it is. He got his contract, didn't he? Yuki's. Did they reveal how long Yuki's contract was? And Danny's contract?
Off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you. Bear with me 1 second, caller. I'll just check.
Because I don't want to say it's for 2 years when it could only be for a year.
Give me a second. Let me just see if I can find the news article when they announced it.
But it's. I still say, that the AlphaTauri is a bit of a dog, but it's getting there, but it's a little bit slow.
It's I've said that car's been bad all year.
There.
You obviously find it quicker than I am, so I'm going back to it.
Sonoda jokes AlphaTauri need 3 seats in 2024.
That's the one I just saw as well.
Doesn't say, does it?
Yuki apparently end of 2024.
Right, so I'm guessing it's only going to be for a year then.
Yeah, according to this is from Sports Illustrated. Italian until the end of 2024.
Well, I'm just going to.
Daniel's is the same.
Yeah, so it will.
Says for 2024.
Yeah, so okay, so it's only a year. Okay, maybe they bring him in 2025, but
the way he's performed, he's got to be worth a shot. Unless they're sitting on some. Now, bear in mind at this point, I don't watch any lower formulas. I struggle with the time to dedicate to it, to be fully honest.
Well, there's only one remaining race, anyways. Now for F2.
Yeah, well, the point I'm trying to make is, there's F2, there's 2 or 3 other that's like Formula Fords, there's Super Formula. Well, I don't follow any of those. Now, unless there's some absolute superstar in the Red Bull stable that I haven't heard about, which, not trying to be big-headed, I find it very hard to believe there's anybody with a better shout at an F1 drive right now than Lawson in their ranks. You don't need to start looking this up, by the way. Anyone in the comments has any suggestions, please let us know and we'll look into these things. But
yeah, I'm having a look at the moment.
I just cannot honestly see. I just don't see what bringing Danny in will gain them. And I don't mean that as nasty to Daniel Ricciardo.
Experience.
Yeah, but Yuki's not exactly green these days.
Yeah,
I get it. I've said for years, haven't I? The ultimate driver lineup to me is one experienced guy and one new kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That to me is the best you can set a team up. Because the experienced guy can help teach the new guy what to do, can help him out. But at the same time, I'd almost put Yuki in that experienced calendar at the moment these days.
Like I said, you've got Rod and Carlin, which is predominantly Red Bull, which is Maloney and Fittipaldi. But then you've got Hauger and Deruva, which is MP Motorsports.
The name Fittipaldi.
Nah, he's not.
Is that going to carry some weight?
No.
Yeah, but it does the name carry. You know what I mean?
Does the name carry? I mean, yeah, he's got himself 116 points in the F2 season so far. You've got Porcher there, who is 191 points. He's leading the championship.
Yuki joined in 2021.
Yeah.
So Yuki's, well, it's only 2 years, I guess, at this point. So yeah, maybe it's not quite Class 6. God, I honestly thought he'd been in the sport longer than that.
No, Yuki was 2021 season.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at Wikipedia, so it must be true.
Well, no, but if we think about it, Yuki. Yeah, he's only been with.
He signed with them in 2020. Took a rookie test at Imola, And then 2021 came in and replaced Kvyat at AlphaTauri in this video. I guess it was Toro Rosso back then, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, was it Toro Rosso?
Apparently, after the first ever race, Ross Brawn hailed him the best F1 rookies for years.
Really?
Yeah, okay. I'm not. The laugh at that sounds cruel and I intended to. I apologise. But, yeah, okay. But, right, okay then. So let's go by the logic that Yuki isn't that experienced, but still.
Toro Rosso was. Toro Rosso was 2019. So yeah, it was. AlphaTauri became AlphaTauri in 2020.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But anyway, I think it's still rousing to the point I'm trying to make that as of right now, the brightest talent in lower ranks is Lawson.
Well,
Now,
it kind of proves that with him
what was I going to say?
outshining Sargent.
Let's be honest, that's not going to be exactly difficult. But what I make, I can't see Perez having more than maybe another season. Unless something drastically changes. And that's not something I want to say.
But how are they gonna?
That's what I'm saying. Who are they going to bring in? I don't know if I'd class Yuki as main car material.
No.
Danny Rick, would you put somebody that age in? Maybe as a stopgap if you had to, but I don't think you'd want to.
People have been
Honest,
even
since
even
return.
yeah, but
I only did 2 races. We didn't exactly light things on fire.
no, but even the Sky presenters themselves had said, "Could you imagine Lando and Max in the Red Bull?"
Did you not see the picture? There's a still photo somebody took of the grid of the podium at Japan, and Christian's whispering something to Lando,
Yeah.
and the captain reads, "Hey kid, you ever driven a race-winning car? Do you want to?" Because Lando's got a bright future, and to be honest with you, McLaren could be the answer because this McLaren, to drag us back round, has suddenly woken up and he's probably the second fastest car on the track right now.
Well, yeah, I mean it can
It's just how.
Yeah, but it can stick there with the Ferraris.
It's probably the stronger car. It's certainly stronger than the factory Merc these days. The question is second fastest how far off first fastest is second fastest right now? And if this weekend ended to go by, the answer is quite a lot.
Yeah, but the fact is, you gotta see qualifying at that. Qualifying, I can't really compare the Qatar's going to be the ultimate. We'll see how the McLaren handles, because Qatar is a speed track.
Oh, we know we've driven it. Don't forget, well, in the game, obviously. But
yeah, but Qatar
is a couple of goes.
Qatar is a speed track, so we'll see how the McLaren will handle it. But if I mean, go back to. I wanted to say go back to Monza, but the McLaren didn't seem to. The McLaren didn't seem to come alive at Monza, so that's the worrying factor.
You think it's a car that's not overly suited to
speed,
absolute speed?
Yeah,
well,
because if you look at Monza, Lando only finished 8th. Oscar only finished 12th.
Hungary, they got 2nd and 5th.
Yeah,
I'm going back to random. I think I like the slower tracks.
I mean, look at, Belgium. He only finished 7th.
And Oscar DNF'd.
Yeah. Well, that was a bit of Hamilton's fault.
I can't remember now, to be honest with you.
I think that was I think he ended up hitting. I think it's something to do with him and Hamilton.
I honestly can't remember. Honestly.
But Silverstone, Silverstone's a bit of a mixed bag. Look at how he finished in Silverstone.
Mm.
Austria. He finished. Did he finish? Oscar was 16th in Austria. Lando was in the points. Yeah, he was 4th. See, that's Austria's another track. That's a bit of a strange one. Like, okay, Canada has speed. And that car struggled. 13th for Lando. So, I mean, I'm probably going to be sat here, and I'm going to be probably eating my words. But it seems that McLaren is suited, like Singapore.
Mm.
But we could, I could, like I say, I could be sat here eating my words because maybe what they've brought to the cars now is better than what it was. So, yeah, it could be up there. I'd like to see it up there again in the fight. Because, McLaren fan, Red Bull fan, I'm a bit of a mixture. And I'd like to see that. It was good racing. Well, it was. The start was a bit chaotic because obviously we had the pinball moment. Poor Perez. He didn't have a gun. I feel sorry for Perez though. I'm going to make a quick snidey remark as I hope Marco doesn't go to Mexico, or if he does go to Mexico, he never leaves.
I was going to say, he will need to go around with security, won't he? I would imagine.
Yeah, I can imagine so. I hope he doesn't show his face in Mexico. I mean, yet again, he put a statement out. But he referred to the team. It was something, I can't remember what it was to do with Perez or something. It was something to do with something anyways. But he referred to it as we, not as in indicating Red Bull. And it's like, didn't Horner already come out and say he's got no part of Red Bull? He's not part of Red Bull.
Yeah, but that's also when he's listed as a director of Red Bull Motorsport, so...
He's just an advisor. He just needs to really just fuck off before somebody punches him. Or worse. If he goes to Mexico, he'll get lynched. I can imagine so. But let's move on to the Mercedes.
Yeah.
You have an interesting point.
Yeah, I've mentioned this before. I just think based on the last couple of races, we're watching a very violent power struggle going on in the Mercedes team right now. Because I honestly believe Hamilton thinks he's number one. He's top dog. It's like the days when Bottas used to be his nice little lapdog. And I also honestly believe that George has no time for his bullshit.
Well, yeah, and I agree because...
As I said to you, I honestly think we're not going to keep Merc. Merc are going to be back near the top, if not next year, the year after. I do think they'll get bad there because they can't afford not to.
Maybe.
It's sort of been them, and Russell wants to be that number one driver when it happens.
Did you blame him? Russell has always said, even when he was at Williams, he wants to be fighting for championships. So he's in that mindset. He's in that mentality.
Yeah. And I think he's the better candidate.
And
I really do.
You know, sorry, Hamilton fans, not sorry, but
I'm not saying the same way that I'm not sorry to any Danny Rick fan that I offended earlier by saying that I don't think, these are my opinions. If you disagree, that's fair enough.
And, well, this is my opinion. I don't think Hamilton will get his 8th. Certainly not this season, because, like we say, Max can wrap this up on the sprint race if he wins it.
Oh, he's not getting this season, and honestly, unless something big changes, I think we're going to watch Red Bull run away with this till the big regulation change in 2026.
Yeah, but Hamilton.
And I'll admit, as somebody who spent years complaining about the Red Bull domination, the Merc domination, that's not what I want to say. But as I said before, I honestly, I don't like the idea of a season where one team has won all but one of the races. I'll say that. But you have to stand back and just go wow and realise you are watching greatness.
When the fact that you've got a designer, well, you've got Adrian Newey there.
These last 2 seasons we've watched the Vanderbilt back-to-back 9 dart legs.
Yeah.
It's absolute perfection. And whether you're fans of the people doing it or not, just stand back and take it on and just realise that's what you're seeing, because you don't see it often.
Like I said, my prediction was wrong. If Red Bull had won in Singapore, it'd have been possibly a clean sweep.
As I said to you when I made that comment, I honestly never wanted to say yes to that, because to me there's so many variables in motorsport. To say one team could win every single race, to me sounds impossible. But then as this season rattled on, it would be flipping heads 23 times in a row. Don't get me wrong, it could happen, but the odds are so far against you.
But they nearly achieved it. They nearly would have achieved it.
I honestly believe they can win every race for the rest of the season. I really do. Which will give them, 22 out of 23?
Yeah.
Which I don't think we've... and I know we've got more races this year. But I don't think we've ever seen that level of domination.
No, because even in 2020...
Apparently Mercedes won 19 in a season.
Really?
And I'm looking for... 2016, they won 19 out of 21 races. Last year, Red Bull won.
So if Red Bull can win the rest, they basically will beat Mercedes' season record then.
At the moment, percentage-wise, Red Bull have already beaten that. Red Bull have won, and this is going to Wikipedia, 93.8% of the races this year.
Well, yeah.
That win percentage 2016 was only 90.5.
But you did, like I say, you do have to think, though, with Hamilton as well, I think he's a bit... I don't want to use this word, but I'm going to use it. He's a bit delusional.
I don't know if... I would disagree with you there, which was a surprise to you.
Yeah.
I don't think it's delusion. I think what it is, it's a lot of belief combined with saying the right thing when you're on a camera.
Yeah, but
because if you're a team player, you never turn around on camera and say you don't believe in what you're doing.
No. But
Golden rule one: you stick up for your team. You always say if someone asks him now, can you win the championship now? His answer's probably going to be yeah, I stand a chance.
Yeah.
He freaking doesn't, but that's not the image you give out.
No. But he's still...
Because it doesn't look good if you're walking around saying, well, this team's shite.
Yeah, but he's done that. Yeah, but the problem is he's done that live on camera.
Oh, yeah, well, everyone will have had a moment where you let your guard down because you're pissed off.
Yeah, he's done it on camera. That's the problem. He's said, he's losing faith. He's losing faith in himself. You've heard him say it. But the thing that irritates me is, you don't hear the likes of Max or Lando in interviews saying, it's my team. That kind of grates me because I'm thinking, yeah, you're now referring to George as what you referred to Bottas, your second fiddle.
And it's funny, if there was anybody who could, you'd think Max would stand there. Because let's be honest, that is his team. That team is built around him.
Well, yeah, we know that, but it's a case of
Good evening, Alan. Nice of you to join us.
Oh, good evening. Who are you talking about?
Hamilton and Mercedes right now. We were on a topic of I said after this race we had seen we're seeing a bit of a power struggle at Mercedes right now, where Hamilton still thinks he's top dog, and Russell can't be asked.
Yeah.
Well, it's true, though.
Well, I got the interview. I saw some of the interviews after the race.
So did I.
Was it me, or did Hamilton actually have no answer? He looked a bit flustered when he was asked about the car.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't see these, so I'll have to bow to you two on this one.
Yeah, he did.
I'm just going by on track, and I'm not just this race, the last 2 or 3 races. Yeah, as I said, just to bring you up to speed on what I said a second ago to Chris, he's like, because I honestly believe Merck will be back to winning ways, if not next year, the year after. I do.
Yeah.
And I honestly believe that Russell wants to be in the position where it's him.
Oh, yeah.
He thinks he can. I don't doubt he can. And he's right now trying to make that play that he gets that number 1 spot.
Yeah. And I think he deserves that number 1 spot.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're not exactly going to sell that one hard to me, are you? Let's be honest here.
Yeah, but it's like I said earlier on, just to repeat this, even Russell and the Williams used to say, I want to be fighting for the championships.
Yeah.
That's where we are, and it's honestly it's good, and it's good to see a team who are letting the gloves off a little bit.
Well, Toto weren't there, was he?
Toto wasn't there. That's why they were allowed to fight.
Well, to be honest,
they weren't really allowed to fight. They just took it upon themselves to fight.
They've been given a bit of a free rein all season, haven't they? This isn't the first time we've seen them two go wheel to wheel quite.
Well, no, they did look at the last race.
I do like Russell, though. He attacks Hamilton and then goes, do we really want to be fighting each other? Yeah. Which is the F1 version of stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself.
Yeah. But he's
on that point, he was behind Hamilton, and he did have, or vice versa. But he had a good point. Are we going to fight each other, or should we just get on with this? So I'm not going to lose time on the people in front.
But it didn't work that way. Russell got the shot.
No,
Russell wanted to swap it. Basically, wanted to do what Sainz had done to Lando, kind of thing. Was tow Lewis around and then swap on a better lap. But because... Who was it? Who was behind him at that point? Was it Leclerc or was it Sainz?
It was Sainz behind him, wasn't it? Because Sainz ended up getting Russell in the end.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because they had the Ferrari clause in him because they dicked around fighting too much.
Yeah.
It didn't work, so it kind of was for nothing.
I mean, it was a bold call from Russell himself to just do a one-stop.
Didn't work though, did it?
It's still a bold call.
Let's be honest, 7th place is probably about where you'd expect them to be at the moment. So to say it didn't work is possibly a little unfair.
But even if he had 2 stops, I still reckon he would have finished around 7th.
That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, he wasn't gonna. Let's be honest, he wasn't gonna win this race. As I said from the offset, this weekend was Red Bull making a statement.
Yeah.
You know, the boys are back in town.
I mean, did you catch the cool down room at the end?
Very quiet.
It was quiet.
Well, no, they weren't. They were fair talking because they were watching all that crashing at the beginning because M3 at the front had missed all of that.
Well, what made me laugh was the podcast bit.
That's what I'm about to bring up. Was the fact that Lando goes something like, "Oh, back on Max's podcast." Oscar pipes up with New Edition, and Max goes, "But I hate." It was either I hate or I don't like podcasts, or I don't do podcasts, something like that. And it's like, fair play. But it's just the reaction when when Lando and Max are together in the cool down room and they're watching the race back. It's Lando's reaction to the race, because I noticed that with Sainz as well, even when Lando and Sainz were together.
But like I say, you've got to remember they've probably not. They don't know half of what's going on in that race, especially if they've been out front all the time and run away with it.
Yeah.
They haven't seen. A lot of what they see on them screens is the first time they learn about some of these things.
Like the pinball incident.
Lando turned around and said, "Best episode of the Max Verstappen podcast." Oscar turned around and said, "Book me in for the next episode too."
Alright.
Was it that? Or was it New Edition?
No.
Alright, fair enough. And then it was like...
Next up, back. Oh, no, it was a New Edition, sorry. I'm going to look at it now. I've got a video of it.
Yeah. And the point I'm going to make here is Perez.
Wasn't his finest weekend, wasn't it? I feel like I've said that a few times lately.
No.
I think it's going to be next up back on Max's podcast. Then Oscar said New Edition. And then Max turned around and said, hang on. Better rewind it again.
I don't. Something to do with I don't do podcasts or something.
I don't even like podcasts.
Yeah. Which was
Well, he would say that because he hasn't heard the Game Time UK F1 podcast, of course.
Exactly. But was it me or did Oscar seem a bit unsure what to do?
Well, of course he's going to see one. Well, I don't get what...
But he's been on the podium before.
In F2, yeah.
And F3.
Yeah, but maybe they do it differently to how they do it in F1.
I also honestly think as much as he's a team player, I think he'll be a little bit gutted. I think he'll honestly believe, and I would agree, that second was on the cards for him this race.
Yes.
I think he'll feel a little hard done by. He'll understand it's for the bigger picture.
Well, yeah, when Lando's got more points than...
Well, as I said earlier, that second place has put Lando level on points with George.
And
we're getting to the nitty-gritty at the end of the season when the prize money's going to start getting dished out, so...
Yeah, I know. But... going back to Perez, it's a bit of a sticky situation Red Bull put themselves in.
Well, as I said earlier, I think he used nearly as many front wings as Chris does in an average race. No, that's saying something.
But the FIA gave Perez... Perez had been given extra penalty points. Obviously, Perez got that the 5-second penalty with that hit incident with Magnussen.
Yeah, but he then got Was it just a one penalty he got, or did he get 2?
No, he just got that one. but then he got the 5-second penalty for safety car.
Yeah, 'cause he overtook Lando on his way into the pits, didn't he? Is what?
Alonso, I think he overtook Alonso
Alonso.
on the way into the pits, which is what he got penalised for.
No, it was the out when he come out. Is what
No,
he
it
got
wasn't. It was actually going in. That's what even they were confused in the commentary as to why, because actually there wasn't anything wrong with coming out. It was actually going into the pit lane that he overtook then.
That was it. I thought because coming out, he seemed to end up having to give a couple of places back.
Yeah, he did give
Yeah.
places back.
But it was actually going into the pits. That's what caused the penalty.
But yeah, he's having a bit of fun right now, and it's not what I like to see. But
okay, so yeah, however, he overtook. Okay, so yeah, it was. He overtook Alonso going in. That's what gave him the points. Gave him the penalty. But he has also got points on his. He has got 2 more points on his super license, so he needs to keep his nose clean for the rest of the season. Otherwise, he's getting a ban, which is kind of not what you want. But then, obviously, they retired the car, but then obviously unretired the car because the FIA had cleared them to do so.
Well, that was it. They wanted to clarify because actually in the rules it states you can actually come back out.
But here's the other sticky situation that Red Bull may have got themselves in with Perez, because did he sit in the car? Did he stay in that car?
No, he got out.
Did he keep all his gear on? That's what we didn't see. Because
he did. He took his helmet off.
He should not allow to have been come out then. He should not allow to have been. That's weird because in the Sporting Regs article, if a driver removed the safety gear, they're not allowed to unretire. They're not allowed to unretire the car. So if he took his helmet off,
I'm guessing during a red flag situation, these rules change slightly, because during red flags, we've seen drivers obviously helmets off and.
Yeah, red flag is different because of the extended period. But during the race, if he's taken his safety gear off, he's then not allowed to unretire the. They're not allowed to unretire the car, which is kind of weird. That he was allowed to rejoin, even though the FIA had said he had. He was allowed to do it, but he's taken his helmet off. Unless they're not in what they're classing as safety gear, is their... What's that thing they put around the neck?
Hand device.
Yeah. Unless that's what they're classing as that being removed. If that gets removed, then maybe that would class that rule as then them not allowing to unretire it. Maybe they are allowed to take the helmets off. Because within that heat, within the humidity level, then maybe, he probably could have passed out. It just seemed a bit weird under their ruling. So maybe it is the hands device or whatever it is that if they remove that, then they can't then
Yeah.
Nine times out, when drivers take their helmets off, that comes off with it. Yes, it can be done separately, but 9 times out of 10, when you watch drivers take their helmets off, they take that off with it because it's actually attached to the helmet.
Yeah, it attaches. They're only like little push pin clips.
Yeah.
So they're easy to take off, but we're not easy to take off while the helmet's on you. They're easier to remove without the helmet on because where they are located on the back, I'm guessing isn't the easiest place to reach round to.
Yeah.
Imagine it'd be like trying to take something off yourself. If you're not, sometimes it's easier to like take something off a shirt once you got it off, rather than try and fiddle around your own back.
Yeah,
you see that whenever they finish the race, when they're taking their helmets off after they've celebrated with the team, they're taking that off with it.
Yeah.
Just keep talking a second.
What do you want us to talk about, though? That's the thing.
The
Let's keep
race.
talking, but talking about what? There's no point going too much into the race right now until we do the podcast.
We're recording.
We're recording it.
Yeah, we recorded now.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, this is it. So yeah, so
Well, I didn't know that bit.
Sorry, I forgot to turn the red light on. Give me a second. Actually, sorry, that's the wrong red light. Forget about that.
Because
That's the wrong red light, but I've just made 20 quid.
Happy days.
So yeah, then so.
Free practice.
I mean, the race itself, it just started off fantastic.
Oh, it was certainly one of the more dramatic starts we've had for a while. Cars flying through the air, and fair play to Williams once again building a car that can take that kind of hit.
Yeah.
I mean, God, F1 cars in the past, if they were hit like that, they'd have 4 wheels pointing in 4 different directions.
I'll tell you what, though, I am impressed with Williams this year. You know.
Albon, yes. Sargent, less so.
Well, yeah. You know. Like, I mean, Albon's got all the 21 points for him.
Yeah.
But to see them above teams like AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, and Haas.
Yeah, Alex has
it's a massive achievement for them.
For that car, which last year was certifiably horrible.
Yeah. You know, considering for the last few years, they've always finished last.
Yeah.
You know, and they're now 7th. That's a massive improvement this year.
I mean, compare that to AlphaTauri, who still, I think, have more drivers than points.
That's it, they've got 5 points.
Oh, no, they have now. They've actually now got less drivers than points. Wow. For a while, they only had 3 points from the season. They had 4 drivers listed.
Thing is, though, Liam's got 2 of those points for him.
Yeah.
He's only 1 point behind Yuki.
We discussed that earlier where we said, I can't understand them bringing Danny in. I can't get my head around it.
Mentioned this before, you know. I would love to see Liam Lawson in an F1 seat next year.
Yeah.
Even if it's Williams.
Trouble is, though, that'd mean giving up his Red Bull ties because they'd never have him.
Yes. That is a fair point, but if it's going to give him a chance to drive in F1.
I know what you're saying. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, but it also depends on how long Liam Lawson's contract as reserve is. We don't know that.
No, but I'm sure there's buyout clauses and things like that in his contract, and
there will be, but
some sort of agreement. Williams can come to some sort of agreement with Red Bull over it and all this lot. You know, not as if it's going to be a major thing. At the end of the day, a lot of it will come down to money.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I still reckon he should be in Formula One next year. Just
Yeah,
look at
no.
look at what he's done so far.
Yeah, exactly what I said. I mean, I can't see what other option. I don't know of a better option Red Bull have at this point.
You know, even after the last race, he was saying how he goes and speaks to Helmut after every race just to get his opinion. Even though I think that's wrong myself, but there you go.
Yeah.
You know, I think if he cuts ties with Red Bull, obviously, I think they will put into a contract stipulation saying he will be allowed back.
Possibly.
Yeah, you know, there is always that opportunity for him to actually go back in the future.
I mean, if he cut ties with Red Bull, did a couple of years at Williams, he could fill that void in the Mercedes seat that I've been seeing coming for this season.
Yeah. I mean, you think all teams have now said who their drivers are for next year, bar Williams. Yes, Albon is there next year, but they've still not said that second seat.
No.
It's the only one left unconfirmed, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. And I would love to see Liam in that. I really would.
I don't disagree with you. I just don't see. I don't think it'll be Sargent. I don't think Sargent's done enough to warrant it.
No.
Unless he's bringing a lot of money in from somewhere.
You know, I think Liam would be an ideal fit, but obviously you've then got to look at who's in there. Have they got an academy? Have they got somebody else in lining up, sort of thing? It's that whole situation. We don't know what's going on in the background.
Well, we haven't heard about Mick for a while.
No.
Correct. Yeah, him in the Williams. Especially if the Williams is going to continue to improve the way he's doing, him and Albon could be a reasonably good package. I kind of reserve judgment a little bit because as much as I like Mick, and he didn't really cover himself with glory that year. But then again, the Haas was such a bad car that I don't think we saw his full potential. But
it's that whole, who do you get? Do you get somebody that's had that experience already in Formula One? Okay, don't get me wrong, Lawson's got that little bit of experience at the moment, but do they go for somebody that's got a bit more experience? Or do they go with somebody like Lawson?
They've got Alex has got reasonable experience now and he's performing well, so I think they've got the experienced angle.
Yeah.
What they need to be doing is Merck need to be stepping in and putting somebody in who they think will be driving that Merck when Hamilton steps down, which, like I say, I can see being in 2 years.
Yeah.
I honestly would have said 1 year, but I know he's just signed a 2-year deal.
Yeah, so he's got a 2-year contract, which I reckon that'll be it.
And I don't know, after what David said earlier, I kind of think that Red Bull might be on the porch to McLaren at some point.
Yeah, so yeah, I can see Red Bull making a play for Norris.
Yeah.
But he's contracted till the end of 26.
He's contracted till the end of 26.
Because my comment on the Merck situation has always been they'd have to buy Norris out of McLaren, which I'm sure they could do at a price.
Oh, yeah.
But it would be what price?
Yeah.
But Norris's point of view, would you do it right now? Because as it stands right now, I think the McLaren's the better seat.
Yeah.
So
you know, since the summer break, they've turned that McLaren round.
Yeah. I hope they can keep it going into next year because they could have a real good package if they get a full season at that.
Yeah. You know, and it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, we won't know what's happening with a lot of the teams yet, come near the end of their drivers' contracts. But for the end of the year, I'd love for them to announce Liam Lawson as a Williams F1 driver for next year. To me, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
You know, yes, it's great to see Danny Rick back in an F1 car next year, but will they have the car for him? will it be a better car than this year? Or will it be like it is this year?
Only time will tell on that one.
Hmm.
You know, have AlphaTauri done this on purpose so they get that bit more tunnel time? You know,
They
with
don't.
the new regulations in place and things like that. Have they actually sacrificed themselves this year, ready for next year, so they get that extra?
You're
time?
losing prize money for time, though, and I'm not sure any team would willingly do that. That's up there with the old thing where they claim that a team will sabotage one driver to let the other win the championship. I'm sorry, I don't believe that would ever.
No,
A team's got to want to do the best.
but that car just hasn't performed this year.
And unfortunately, as I've said before, though, the issue is somebody's got to be last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. Somebody has to be last. You can't all have the best car. Now,
No.
it was Williams for a couple of years. It was Williams by quite a margin for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Then it was Haas. This year it's AlphaTauri. You know, we had Aston Martin that was a bloody awful car last year.
They've gone down. For me, they've gone downhill after the summer break.
I won't say they haven't gone downhill in my eyes. What's happened there is everyone else has jumped forward. I mean, look at what was I going to say? Look at how look at McLaren's a good example.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many years ago was Alonso struggling to make the start of a race?
Hmm.
That was the Honda engine, which is currently doing everything in the back of the Red Bull. It does well, but
Which will soon be going to the Aston Martin.
yeah, you know, the start of this season, the McLaren was nowhere, and looking now, so I don't think necessarily Aston Martin have gone worse. I think they've gone forward. I just think everyone else has made bigger jumps around them. And I also think it was maybe a bit of a shock to the system to us, just how far ahead that Aston Martin was at the start of the year.
Yeah.
Because none of us saw it coming.
Don't think Aston Martin saw it coming.
Oh, God, I had them down for a win this year. I'm actually thinking that's looking. I don't think that's likely anymore. I think that ship sailed, sadly. But I could see Alonso. I could see Alonso taking a race win the way the season started.
Miracles do happen.
Been nice to see, but I think, like I say, I have a feeling Red Bull are now firmly in the right. Singapore happened. You had your fun. Now it's back to what we do.
I mean, it's going to be an interesting end of the year, should we say?
It will be.
You know, Qatar's, they've only driven around once.
Yeah, it's a very, very fast circuit, as we know.
Yes. Who is it? Yes, it's going to favour Red Bull. We know that. But put Red Bull aside, who's actually going to favour more on other teams? I reckon it could be McLaren because they are quick.
I was going to say, yeah, it's the McLaren over the Merc and the Aston Martin, isn't it?
And Ferrari.
I'll say the Williams is a very quick car in a straight line.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Look at how much of a pain in the arse Albon was at Monza.
Well, he was like that Canada, wasn't he?
Yeah, that Williams is slippy. That Williams, it may not handle brilliantly, but in a straight line, it's slippy.
Yeah.
So while they're not going to be challenging for a win, I very much doubt it. They could be sort of firing. Well,
I mean,
Albon could be. I honestly don't think Sargent will be, but
no. Well, you think out of the remaining races, you've got Qatar very quick. We know that. Mexico,
relatively quick. He's got that massive long straight and a few quick bits. Vegas felt fast to us. Vegas is the one I'm looking forward to. Even if people on fails of the week did call it frigging Spa.
Dumbasses.
It was Vegas, you plebs.
You know, out of the remaining races, they to me, those three there are the remaining fast races.
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi's a quick track because the updates took away the slower corners, didn't they? Because they made the bottom into one long sweeping bend. They've taken out the first chicane now, haven't they? They run a straight line to the bottom hairpin.
Yeah. But and then you got your technical courses like Brazil.
Yeah.
Yes, it can be quick, but it's more.
It's more of a handling circuit.
Yeah.
You got that middle section that's just corner after corner after corner.
Okay, we got Kota as well in there. Again, it's a 50-50.
And I'd put Koto on the technical side between the S bends and that bottom and that last 3 apex bend that we can never get right.
Yeah.
I usually end up so far off the side of the circuit going around that I have to pay to get back in.
Oh, we know. You'll go down to the airport and back,
Yeah. Yeah. I would navigate the car park halfway around.
Just
Come on,
making sure
turn you bitch.
just making sure your parking ticket's fine.
Overall, it was one of the better Japans we had seen.
It was a good race.
Yeah.
I mean, what you kind of got to do the whole, first place happened, as I said earlier. Respect the level that we're watching right now. Respect that car, that driver, that team are nailing it.
Yeah.
But then you look behind that, there was some close racing, there was some good battles, a little bit of fun and games. The safety car actually got run out again.
Very early on.
Yeah.
Because
and it was just
because of all the little bit of the incidents with bumper cars or pinball as we call it.
it's just a 4 into 1 don't go.
Yeah. Fair play for trying, but
it's like when you watch them going about 4 wide into turn 1 at Monza, the F123 AI are good for that.
Yeah.
Like 4 wide into turn 1, I'm just gonna hang back a bit and let this develop. I'll be over here.
But it has been one of the better ones. Obviously, last year was one of their worst ones.
Yeah. Wasn't last year like no overtakes, no safety cars, no nothing?
It was torrential downpour, wasn't it?
Last year was the one where we had the incident where everybody was up in arms.
Oh, it was Sainz. It was where, Sainz and the
It's when they brought the recovery vehicle on track when the cars were still going around.
And they couldn't see it.
Saying that, I was watching touring cars through Costa on Sunday, and at one point they waited till the entire field was at the other side of the track, and then next thing a little Manitou had to bomb out the pit lane and off the side of turn 1 back into where it was supposed to be. To be fair, then things can move a damn sight quicker than I gave them credit for. That thing was tanking. It must have come out of the pits at full throttle and not lifted.
But yeah, it was an interesting race. It did have everything.
Yeah.
Let's have more of that for the rest of the season.
Which is what you want when it's on early in the UK over here.
Yeah, when you've taken the time to get up at 6 a.m, you actually want something.
Half
you want
five.
paying back for it, don't you?
How about
Half 5.
How about didn't go to bed till after the race?
Well, look, you're a freaking vampire. We know that.
Yeah, but I had other stuff I could begin. I was getting on with before the race.
So was I, sleeping.
Yeah. Well, I say 5:30, but alarm went off at 5:30.
Mine went off at 5:45, and I think I was sat down about 10 to.
Well, you've got another 6 a.m. one, which will be Vegas.
Yeah, but Vegas is going to be off. I'm
definitely that you get up for no matter what. You don't care.
I'll be honest with you. There's a good chance I will get up at 4:30 for the Vegas one.
I kind of want to see what the pre-show is going to be like.
Just because, I know that Vegas is going to be fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I think back to that first year when Liberty Media had Kota and we had the goddamn run out to the cheerleaders. Imagine that, but with Vegas flashing lights.
Yeah, let's see how cheesy Vegas will be, but obviously Qatar. But obviously, before we finish, there's kind of one more thing I've got to do.
I'm sorry, no, there's a cracking pun between cheesy and Qatar involving teeth there, man.
But you couldn't get it in quick enough, could you?
That's what she said.
Don't.
I had to. I set that one up too well.
Methinks
you talking about a certain fantasy?
Yeah.
Is this real life? Is this a fantasy? Caught in a landslide. No escape from reality.
as you know, if you don't know by now, we do the obviously F1 Fantasy League,
As you know, if you don't know.
and that's this race. This race has done me a favour. Put it that way.
I'm less happy.
I know you dropped down the order. Why? What? Oh, Mr. Perez.
Williams didn't do me any favours either.
Yeah.
Because was he double DNF? No, it wasn't double DNF, was it?
No. Obviously, because Hamilton helped you out. Obviously, he had Oscar, Lando, and Alonso, Hamilton, and Max.
Yeah, you only got 168 points that race.
Yeah, I It's all right. It's all right. We're not done yet. I'm still not that far behind. Oh, I've lost a bit of ground. I'm nearly 300 points off Chris now.
Yeah.
I'm aiming on Chris.
That's the problem. It was
I'm over 1,000 clear of your third team, though, Alan. So
it was a problem that Guan Yu Zhou did not do me any real favours there.
the funny thing is, your third team actually got no negatives. You just got all shit positives.
Well, for me, obviously, it helped with obviously my main team, obviously having Norris and Piastri in there.
Yeah, but the difference is between you've got 3 teams in there, where me and David have only got the 1.
Yeah, I didn't end up putting 3 together.
I've got 3 teams, but I didn't end up.
I've got a second one, but that's just not in any leagues. That's just.
Yeah, I didn't end up submitting, but it was just like, yeah, I've had a kind of a good season so far, but now I'm getting a little bit worried.
Why is that?
Because you're not that far away from him.
Because for some reason, you rocketed.
McLaren for you.
Yeah, but that's the weird thing.
But don't forget, I've got Piastri and Norris, but I've also got McLaren as one of my constructors.
Yeah. So have I. On my main team. I got McLaren and Red Bull.
Yeah, but I've only got McLaren and Aston Martin.
Yeah, but Perez buggered me over.
Yeah, see, on my I've already got, so my main team, I've got Hamilton, Verstappen, Norris, Alonso, and Piastri. And then Aston Martin and McLaren.
But the weird thing about it is, if I look back at the first race, Bahrain, David finished the exact same position he did in this one, just with 68 more points.
To do with the amount of overtakes and stuff like that.
Yeah. But David finished second at Saudi. 4th.
Look, there's time for me to bring it back yet.
But you got the most in Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
Second, I was 3rd in Miami, where Alan got the top spot in Miami. He got top spot in Monaco. David got top spot in Spain. David got top spot in Canada. David got top spot in Austria.
I'm liking this pattern. Yeah, I'm still friggin' 3rd.
You got 3rd in. Yeah, but Alan got top spot in Silverstone, of course, because it's bloody Silverstone. You got 2nd, David, in Hungary.
I got top.
Last in Belgium.
And I got top.
Yeah. I got top in Zandvoort. David got last.
Got 2nd.
David got top in Italy.
I got 2nd.
I've seen a theme emerging here.
Alan got top, David got 2nd in Singapore, and I got 3rd. I remember that. And then David goes back to 4th.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of them. But yeah. So obviously,
any thoughts going into Qatar then, you two?
I just want to see McLaren actually win. It's not going to happen.
I want to see McLaren up there again, if I'm honest.
Yeah, see Norris get a win, so the poor lad's been close so many times.
Yeah.
I mean, let's say Piastri won it, but by God, it'd be special. But you know, it's.
Thing is, though, anything can happen. We know this ourselves. Anything can happen.
Oh, look at Singapore. What odds would you have got on that Singapore race result?
But Singapore,
the way
Red
the
Bull
season's
never,
gone.
Red Bull never really done well in Singapore anyway.
Yeah, but not to that level.
No, but again, anything can happen. They could have an engine issue. You know, so many different variables could go into it. But again, if it's a straightforward race, yeah, it will be Red Bull. It's who's finishing behind them. And for me, I could actually see it be a battle between McLaren, Mercedes, and Ferrari.
It's gearing up that way, isn't it?
Yeah. So obviously, as you know, this will be coming out on a Friday, and as we don't have a race next week, the next podcast will come out, and then it'll be the 9th it gets recorded, and then comes out on the week. And then comes out at the end of the week. Obviously, you can get it Amazon, Spotify. You can also get it on Samsung Podcasts. You can get it. It is out on Wisdom app as well. It's out on that now. So if you've got a Wisdom app, click on there. You can basically find me on there, and then you find the podcast on Wisdom.
Yeah.
So obviously, thank you to Alan and David for joining.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, pleasure as always.
And we shall see you for the next one. So until then.
Adios, amigos.
So long, and thanks for the fish.
Goodbye for now.